Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Imola. And race one for Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli, here for round 6 of the season. Beautiful blue sky with some harmless high cloud around means the weather conditions are perfect. And our calendar has taken us to Bahrain, to Spain, to Austria, to France, Germany, and now 2 dates in Italy to round out the season for 2019. The first of those 2 dates here, of course, at Imola. And there you can see exactly where the circuit is located. In fairness, not very far away from Mugello, which plays out the season finale mondiale this year. The 4.9 kilometer circuit features 21 turns, 12 left, 9 of them are right-handers. As you can see, the air temperature is a very lovely 27 degrees. There's a bit of breeze around to take the temperature away, and 24 degrees track temperature and relatively low humidity, and the grid is a very busy place ahead of the start of the race to come for Trofeo Pirelli. 2 classes within, of course. There is the Trofeo Pirelli Pro drivers and the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers, and Nicolo Schiro will be going from pole position at 1:43.256. Now, it wasn't the best time in qualifying. That came from Björn Grossman. But with the success penalties that are awarded, it means that he takes a grid drop and he will be going from P5 on the grid. Thomas O'Rourke we're on board with. Trofeo Pirelli Am driver, second quickest of those for the grid today. And a small location visual postcard to sell the scene here at Imola, and the Hublot safety car ready to send the cars away for this 30-minute race for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. As I mentioned, pro drivers and Am drivers within at this extraordinarily historic Imola circuit, which, if rumours in the press are to be believed, certainly garnering attention with regards to Formula One for years in the future, potentially returning to Imola. Who knows? Fabian Volvend will be going from P3 on the grid. The lady racer who has competed in a Formula 3 car this year in the first year of the W Series returns to A, the track, and B, the car that delivered her first overall win in the Ferrari Challenge here back in 2017. Good to see Fabian Volvend back at the helm of one of these Ferrari 488 cars. Just see in the middle of your picture at the top, Giancarlo Fisichella, who's here as not only an official Ferrari GT driver, but here as a driving steward assistant this weekend to give the stewards the benefit of drivers' insight inside the stewards' room with regards to any potential penalties. When it came to the Copa Shell race earlier on today, there were 1 or 2 of those, and it would be wrong of me to suggest that there won't be in Trofeo Pirelli. Who knows? Let's see. As always, a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge. We'll get the cars away. And of course, we reach the sharp end of the championship points right now with this race, 1 more tomorrow, and then 2 more races to be done in Mugello to round out the championship for 2019. That is a glorious shot of the Imola circuit, where, as you can see, there are some residential properties contained almost within the boundaries of the circuit. And if you're a real petrol head, my goodness me, what an opportunity that gives to live very, very close to a racing circuit. The city of Imola just behind the main grandstand area, as you can see in the paddock unfolds. And very unusually, this is an anti-clockwise direction track. I say very unusually. There are not that many tracks in Europe that run in an anti-clockwise direction, but this one certainly does. Looking at the back end of the number 56 car there of Mathieu Weibo as we look now at Björn Grossman. Now, as you can see, 1:42.947 was the best time in qualifying, but his success penalty means he goes further back down the grid. Let's hear from Nicolo Schiro, who's on pole.
Ciao, I'm Nicolo Schiro, driver for Rosso Corsa in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. Welcome to Imola. Imola circuit is one of the most technical tracks we have in the calendar this year. It's a track that made the history of motorsport, so it's very nice to be here racing. And we have many points where you can overtake, and it's going to be a great race for sure. My favorite part of the track is the part from the Acqua Minerali corner to the Variante Alta. It's mid-fast speed corners that it's very important for the central sector, and where you can prepare an overtake for the last part of the track, which is the Rivazzo one. Now it's time to go on track. See you there and enjoy the racing weekend.
So Nicolo Schiro then giving us an insight into Imola, and as he says, it's one of his favourite venues on the calendar. And talking of calendars, here last night the calendar for 2020 was released, and there are some fabulous tracks on there. Here comes the grid for race 1 in Trofeo Pirelli. Then Nicolo Schiro going from P1, then it's Thomas Neubauer and Fabian Volvend ahead of Sam Smith and Björn Grossman, and then it will be Jan Dennis, who is the best of the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers, going from P6. Thomas O'Rourke, Adam Carroll could be a danger man from P8, and Christian Overgaard, and then Louis Pret, also potentially a danger man from P10, ahead of Martin Nelson and John Dillon, who occupy the 6th row of the grid for this 19-car race. Jack Brown and Frederick Espersen, with Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, who tells me he has fuel pump issues during quali, and then Mathieu Weibo, who will be going from P16 on the grid. All the cars, of course, shod with the Pirelli tyres and are ready to do battle here at Imola. So as engineers, spectators, race fans make their way off the grid ahead of the start of the 30-minute race to come for Ferrari Challenge, well, the anticipation builds, of course, because, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, we're reaching the sharp end of the championship on board the Hublot safety car, which, of course, will lead the cars away on their formation lap. And as you can see, it's just 1 minute before the cars are going to be released on that formation lap, and the engines will roar into life as we go on board with Thomas O'Rourke, the Trofeo Pirelli AM driver, who's effectively the second quickest for the grid. He has Jan Dennis ahead of him, and look back from Louis Pret, the Formula Racing driver, who had a torrid time of it at the Nürburgring, but put it all together in the end. He could be very much a danger man from the 5th row of the grid, that's for sure. Certainly knows how to overtake. And the final stragglers make their way off the grid, and the start sequence can get underway. Delighted that you can join us this afternoon. We're live from Imola with Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Race 1. As the engines are started and the Hublot safety car roars away from the grid, and the cars will catch up the Hublot safety car about halfway around the lap.
I'm really happy about my pole position here in Imola. In the last lap we get the fastest lap. I'm really happy for my team and my guys.
Now, if you were confused because Björn Grossman is actually going from P5 on the grid, one of the features of the Ferrari Challenge is the success penalty. Basically, if you are successful within the Ferrari Challenge, when it comes to the next race, you can take a grid drop. And that's exactly what has happened to Björn Grossman. He did set pole position and fastest lap, but he has been relegated to P5 on the grid by dint of his success at Nürburgring and elsewhere. So it's Nicolo Schiro who will be pole position with Thomas Neubauer alongside. Fabian Volvend, who races for the same team as Björn Grossman in Octane 126, is going from P3 on the grid ahead of Sam Smith, the British driver, drives for Barron Service. And then it is Björn Grossman, just disappeared through your picture at that point. We're on board with Thomas O'Rourke. The all-yellow machine ahead of him is that of Sam Smith. Of course, Jan Dennis ahead of Thomas O'Rourke. To be fair, the all-yellow car that you can see is that of Jan Dennis rather than Sam Smith. But of course, the cars will grid up side by side when they do pick up with the safety car. And then the race start can get underway. 30 minutes of race action to come from the Ferrari Challenge. Social media you've seen up on the screen. Be part of the family, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or of course the dedicated website at races.ferrari.com, which will give you all the information as the spectators stand by for what we anticipate as being a very good race in the Ferrari Challenge. Whether they're amongst the grandstands, tribunes, or whether they're in the garages, as you can see. So cars now side by side then behind the safety car on the long drop down towards the two Rivazza turns. We are ready to go racing in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. Good afternoon. The lights go from red to green, and the start is underway. Nicolo Schiro then. Sam Smith already trying to put himself alongside Fabian Volvend, and here comes Björn Grossman. Was that a bit of teamwork there? Because Fabian Volvend left a perfectly wide, 488 wide gap for Björn Grossman to dive through and occupy that P3 place. Nicolo Schiro and Thomas Neubauer fighting out for the lead of the race, but here comes Björn Grossman. We already know what pace he's got because he set the fastest lap in qualifying, and it looks like Jan Dennis taking a run through the gravel. That's dropped him way down the order. So this, the opening lap as the cars begin to climb now, and this hugely elevation change to Imola circuit. Schiro is under real pressure here from Thomas Neubauer. Thomas looked really lively right at the start of the race. In fact, at points when they gridded up, Thomas Neubauer was ahead of Nicolo Schiro. However, when it mattered and they crossed the timing line, he was in exactly the right place. So I see no reason for that start to be under investigation. However, both these two are going to be pushed hard by the Octane 126 driver Björn Grossman. Louis Pret up to P7 in the race overall. And as you can see, it's a very, very big save from Christian Overgaard, who took to the grass. Full opposite lock to control the slide through the grass, which didn't offer us same level of grip, of course, as the tarmac, but he held it all together. And there is Louis Pret then. Another very big danger man, I would suggest, in this race. Let's put one lap in the book as Thomas Neubauer now has to defend like never before from Björn Grossman, who dives to the outside of Thomas Neubauer. Has he got the pace advantage to put his nose in front? Indeed he has. From P3 to P2. And the chase is on for the race lead now for the German driver of the number 84 Octane 126 car. Björn Grossman on something of a charge here. Bear in mind, he started the race P5 on the grid, and after but 1 1/4 laps, he's up to P2. Also running out wide there was Adam Carroll in the number 47 car, but he saved it. Adam Carroll, very much another danger man to keep an eye on here. So the cars climb uphill once again. Thomas Neubauer relegated to that P3 position. This was a textbook overtake from Björn Grossman. Set it up absolutely perfectly and got the overtake done before they even got into the Tamburello Variante. So the cars climb uphill, the brakes scream under protest at the forward momentum being slowed as they run into the turns. For now, Nicolo Schiro appears to have Björn Grossman under control. Will it stay like that for the remaining 27 minutes? I rather think not. In Trofeo Pirelli Am, it's Christian Overgaard that's leading Tommaso Rocca and Jack Brown, the 1, 2, 3 currently. In Trofeo Pirelli Pro, it is Nicolo Schiro from Björn Grossman and Thomas Neubauer. So Schiro appears to be managing this gap between himself and Björn Grossman. I don't think Björn is going to be able to get close enough to make a move to Tamburello on this occasion. Although he does, under braking, get a little bit closer to the Wild West car that is leading the race. And you can see how Björn is throwing that 488 through the curbs in a quest to get as far up the order as possible and to get ever closer to the race leader. Schiro, 7/10 ahead of Grossman, ahead of Neubauer, Smith, Volvend, Carroll and Brett. With Christian Overgaard ahead of Tommaso Rocca and Jack Brown, as Adam Carroll and Louis Pret are having a ding-dong battle for the P6 place, and Louis Pret and Adam Carroll are side by side here. This will give Louis Pret the inside line, but Adam Carroll fights back and tries to get back underneath the car of Louis Pret. This is ding-dong racing between the two of them. Louis has got the inside for that turn and manages to put the number 17 car ahead of the number 47. Good, bold, ambitious move from Louis Pret, but Adam Carroll isn't done with this yet. Adam Carroll, supremely experienced racer, who finds himself relegated at the moment down to that P7 position because Louis Pret is coming through. Top 5 space themselves out irritatingly, but we will see if Björn Grossman can find any way to reduce that 9/10 margin to the race leader, Nicolo Schiro. There you can see just into the picture behind Adam Carroll, the leader of the Trofeo Pirelli Am class. That's Christian Overgaard ahead of Tommaso Rocca and Jack Brown, who of course is very much involved in the championship chase. Jack Brown now reeling in the car of Tommaso Rocca. And so too, Tommaso Rocca reeling in Christian Overgaard. And Dennis then just taking a look at the Martin Nelson car. The Scuderia Autoropa driver who's currently running in P4 within class. Here comes Jack Brown. Taking a look at the inside of Tommaso Rocca, thinking better of it. And while this is all going on, of course, it's playing into the hands of the Forza Racing Baron driver, Christian Overgaard. Now, Jack Brown to the outside. He's trying every which way but loose. Is that Louis Pret? Louis Pret is out of the race in car number 17, and where that car is parked up on the grass, inevitably that's going to mean a safety car because the car is in a position of danger, and if they cannot recover that car within just a few moments, I'm sure that will be a safety car. So Louis Pret then, the car just grinds to a halt, having done all that hard work getting past Adam Carroll. What disappointment. Well, he is trying to nurse the car back. Credit to him for that. And that has avoided a safety car being called for. So clearly some mechanical issue for Louis Pret, I would suggest. So he is the first casualty, if you like, of this Trofeo Pirelli race. So Christian Overgaard, again, pleasingly for him, Tommaso Rocca is involved in defending against Jack Brown and Martin Nelson and Jan Dennis, which means that he should be able to get up the order a bit, although Tommaso Rocca in defending is still pretty quick. And I think the reason for that is I think Jack Brown is actually propelling Tommaso Rocca ever closer to Christian Overgaard, who probably needs to get a hurry up here. Now this was Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, who was across the grass. He, of course, very much in the championship fight. And here comes Jack Brown once again, sizing up the Tommaso Roca car. Nothing doing currently as they run through Tamburello here. Jack Brown sticking to the outside. And that's not the quickest way around this turn, but if he can keep the momentum on, he certainly tries. Tommaso Roca is really under pressure here and doing a great job in defending. And Jan Dennis and Martin Nelson are continuing to fight as well. And Jack Brown, I think, is playing a very clever game here. He's letting those two fight ahead of him and do the hard work. And he's going to be in position, ready to bounce like a viper, potentially, should these two go awry. We're on board with Tommaso Roca. Over across the rumble strips. You can almost feel that through your television. Overguard. Then it's Roca and Brown. And then it's Nelson and Danis. Here comes Jack Brown again, just trying to line up that car ahead of him. And there is Louis Pret, who, credit to him, managed to get the car to a position of safety, but it's a great shame to see him out of the race. And I suspect brought about through no fault of his own. So back to this hand battle, which is being led by Christian Overgaard in the number 45 car. Christian has been on the podium but once this season, and that was for a P3 place. So running in that P1 position at the moment as Jack Brown, we can see from our timing screen, who was involved in that big battle with Tommaso Roca, has had to go into the pit lane. So obviously some issue with the Jack Brown car. Nicolo Schiro, 7/10 on Björn Grossman. Somebody has been through the gravel, as you can see the dust. And that's Louis Pret again, isn't it? Who's trying to just get that car back to the pit lane, I would suggest, but keeping out of everybody's way and very diligently so doing. So Nicolo Schiro then, as Louis Pret then tried to use the grassed runoff areas to haul that car back to the pit lane and not obstruct anyone else in so doing, as Adam Carroll now taking a look at the back end of Fabian Volven's car. The number 5 Octane 126 machine being pursued by Adam Carroll currently. Race leader Nicolo Schiro. Live gap to Björn Grossman. We'll get it for you right now. It's 7/10. So Björn Grossman is beginning to turn the wick up again in his quest to get on terms with Nicolo Schiro in that number 3 car engineered by Rosso Corsa. Rosso Corsa, of course, who also engineer the GT racer Stefano Guy, who is almost alongside me on air at the moment as he lends his expert opinion to our Italian broadcasters. So up the hill goes Schiro, then closely pursued by Björn Grossman. And then it is Thomas Neubauer down there in P3, untroubled by Sam Smith at the moment, because there is something like 2.5 seconds between Neubauer and Sam Smith. Björn is really throwing that car all over the place. Björn is one of the most entertaining drivers to watch because he's prepared to throw absolutely everything at it. Of course, seeing Jack Brown into the pit lane, this has allowed Martin Nelson to put himself into a podium place position currently. And that battle for P2 continues to rage between Martin Nelson and Jan Dennis and Tommaso Roca. Again, at the risk of repeating, playing into the hands of Christian Overgaard, who's just able to maintain his position and not worry about what's going on behind him, as Jan Dennis just took a little look at the inside of Martin Nelson. There was nothing doing there. So Louis Pret is being advised to report to race control after the session. I suspect that will be for a telling off for trying to bring the car back safely. But now Martin Nelson, in trying to attack Tommaso Roca, has perhaps left himself vulnerable to Jan Dennis right behind him. Very nearly opened the door for the Scuderia Prague driver to come through, and this might be gifted opportunity. Martin has got to make it work now on Tommaso Roca, because Jan Dennis is coming calling. So it's Martin Nelson who's going to have the inside of Tamburello, and is Jan Dennis going to be able to take advantage of this as well? Tommaso Roca on the outside, there's almost contact between the two of them, but that was a good move by Martin Nelson, who held his nerve and held on to that and put himself up into that P2 position. So we're on board with Tommaso Roca, who's now relegated to P3, and he's not going to be able to rest because Jan Dennis is going to be pushing very, very hard. Slightly tighter line as Roca then perhaps got a little tap from Jan Dennis and had to hold on to the car as the back end stepped out. Fastest lap from Nicolo Schiro then, a 1:44.956. As he stays ahead of Björn Grossman. Some 9/10 behind now. Grossman will have taken quite a lot out of that car in his chase. Now, Grossman is one of those drivers that he could be left on, frankly, bare alloy rims and he would still be setting fast laps. He can just drive anything. He's the sort of driver that you could put in a wheelbarrow and he could probably still win a race. There is the driver in P3, Thomas Neubauer. Here comes Sam Smith, P4. Adam Carroll, for the moment, kept away from Fabian Volvend, or rather Fabian has responded, and off the back of a successful season in single-seaters, back into the Ferrari 488, and the car that delivered her first Ferrari Challenge win overall here at this particular circuit back in 2017. As the clock continues to count down, we reach the halfway position of this first of the two Trofeo Pirelli races to be contested over the course of this weekend here at Imola. 15 minutes done, halfway. Now, perhaps the drivers will begin to feel just a little bit of tyre degradation into those Pirelli tyres. Looks like it's a race retirement for Louis Pret. However, I'm seeing on the timing screen that Jack Brown is on his way out of the pit lane, having been in there. So whatever issue with the Jack Brown car, the team have got to work on that and got it solved. Now Martin Nelson has been released from the shackles of Tommaso Roca. You can see that Martin Nelson is right on the back of Christian Overgaard. So Christian Overgaard, who's led something of a sheltered race thus far, could be up against it, but Tommaso Roca is going to feel the wrath, not only of Jan Dennis, but Emanuele Maria Tabacchi now, who is beginning to join into this in the number 33 car. Hard on the brakes, you can see the brake discs light up as the force is pushed through the braking system to bring these awesome, powerful 488 challenge cars. And now Dennis takes to the inside, or does he, of Tommaso Roca. Emanuele Maria Tabacchi taking a wide outside line, and will he get something of a slingshot here as Thomas Neubauer, we can see from the timing screen, dives into the pit lane, which means that elevates Sam Smith up into P3 in Trofeo Pirelli Pro. But for now, stoic in his defense is Tommaso Roca. And whatever Jan Dennis has thrown at him, it's not been enough to unsettle Tommaso Roca. Or as he takes a look at the inside now, but has to think better of it if there'd have been contact there. But does he get better exit as they climb uphill? They go almost side by side. They almost rub. Emanuele Maria Tabacchi is standing by, ready to take advantage, but Jan Dennis does it. Gets through, and Tommaso Roca could lose 2 in 1 here because Emanuele Maria Tabacchi is right on him also. So good overtake from Jan Dennis, who thought about it, had tried at various places. And to be fair, that's one place he'd not tried previously, and he was going to go for it. So Christian Overgaard being chased by Martin Nelson. I just want to see, where is Christian's stablemate, the young Frederick Espersen? He's running P7 in the AM class at the moment, behind John Dillon. Now, Overgaard here is under pressure from Martin Nelson. There's no question about that, but Christian makes the car as wide as possible, and here comes Martin Nelson diving to the outside as they head towards Tamburello now. And Martin goes for the switchback to try and get to the inside, but Christian Overgaard was all over that and doing a good job in terms of holding off Martin Nelson currently. The gap between them is just a tenth or so. It's extraordinary racing going on here in the AM class. So Jack Brown, who has returned, I believe, out onto track, is being investigated now for his pit lane exit. I suspect that what that relates to is probably as he exited the pit lane, he crossed the white line, which generally does induce a penalty. Now, Martin Nelson not being able to get by Christian Overgaard is allowing Jan Dennis to now trouble Martin Nelson. And what Christian wants here is for Martin Nelson's rearview mirrors to be full of that all-yellow car of Jan Dennis, which means that Martin will, as Christian Overgaard makes a mistake, misses his braking point, but miraculously holds on to that car and holds on to his place. So what I was saying was that what Christian wants is for Martin to be really too busy defending against Jan Dennis, that he can focus on maintaining his position at the front of the pack. But both Nelson and Dennis, I'm tempted to say, are probably quicker. But it's all very well being quicker. You've got to find a way by, and here comes Jan Dennis and Martin Nelson. Nelson will have the inside line. This is job done. Christian goes to turn in, and he's got Jan Dennis to his left-hand side, but he manages to close the door on Jan Dennis. This is all allowing Emanuele Maria Tabacchi to come back into this now. Well, my prediction was exactly right with regards to Jack Brown. It was crossing the white line at pit exit, and he will pick up a time penalty of 10 seconds for that. Here comes Emanuele Maria Tabacchi alongside Jan Dennis. Martin Nelson now up the road. What brilliant racing we're seeing in this AM classification. In the meantime, Nicolo Schiro appears to have the measure of Bjorn Grossman. Jan Dennis right on the back end of Christian Overgaard. And in fairness, that was an unfair move because he made contact with the back end of Overgaard, and Christian did a good job to hold on to that and to deny Jan Dennis that opportunity. So you can sense that Jan Dennis is very, very frustrated because Christian is making that car very wide, which is his right to do. He's defending his track position. So as they take this long run down, then braking force applied into Ravazza 1, then Ravazza 2, back on the power, and this is where Jan Dennis has got traction advantage. But he's got to get to the inside of Christian Overgaard to try and secure that inside line. Has he done it on this occasion? Yes, he has. He goes through and picks up P2. And here comes Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, but not quite close enough. So in the space of but 2 or 3 laps, Christian Overgaard has been relegated to P3, and even that P3 is under threat now from Tabacchi. Over the curbs. There is is Martin Nelson, leader in Trofeo Pirelli Am. If my memory serves me, if Martin Nelson is able to hold on to this, it will be his first win in Trofeo Pirelli Am this season. Don't think he's had a top step of the podium. And I also think Martin Nelson mathematically, as Emanuele Maria Tabacchi takes a look at the inside of Christian Overgaard, I think Martin is mathematically still in with a championship shout. It's a long shout, I believe. I think the gap is huge, but even so, with Jack Brown way down the order and Emanuele Maria Tabacchi not at all, and that's about the third time we've seen Christian Overgaard not be able to make that turn. And that's played into the hands of Emanuele Maria Tabacchi now. As they run downhill, he's got the inside line, but it soon becomes the outside, but he's able to carry more momentum. So that means that Christian Overgaard loses out on the final podium position. However, he's fighting back. So Emanuele Maria Tabacchi then up to P3, and that will really help his championship charge, because Jack Brown currently, bear in mind, he is P9 overall, P9 in class, plus a time penalty to come. So his points haul, he's not going to be good. In the meantime, whilst we've been focusing on this AM battle in Trofeo Pirelli Pro, Skiro's lead is up to 3.1 seconds over Björn Grossman. Thomas O'Rourke flashing his lights at Christian Overgaard. And look at the momentum Martin Nelson has made up once he got past Christian Overgaard. 5 3/4 minutes left in this Trofeo Pirelli race. And amazingly, we saw Louis Pret earlier on with a stricken car, and he was trying to nurse it back to the pit lane. He's on his way and out of the pit lane and back racing again. Amazing. Well done to the Formula Racing team that have been able to ascertain what the issue was with his car and get him going again. There you can see, it's palpable, isn't it, the gap between Nicolo Skiro and Björn Grossman. P1 and P2, and both of them are some 13 seconds, is that right, ahead of Sam Smith, who in turn is being chased down by Fabian Volvend and Adam Carroll. This is the battle for P3 that we're watching at the moment. Sam Smith, the British racer, who's running in P3, then it's Fabian Volvend, and then Adam Carroll for Ferrari Budapest. Big climb uphill now, maximum throttle up the hill as Sam is under pressure now, Fabian getting ever closer. So Sam is going to really have to defend here as Fabian Volvend fancies wrestling that final podium place away from Sam Smith ahead. And of course, she's being pressured too by Adam Carroll, who also fancies a punt at that P3 podium place. So into the final stages of this race. 4 laps left to run as the cars bounce over the curbs. All 3 of them less than neat and tidy through the exit of that turn as they make the long run down now through turn 16, 17. And this is Martin Nelson being chased now by Jan Danis for the win in terms of Trofeo Pirelli Am. Martin Nelson for Scuderia Autoropa, Jan Danis in the number 37 car racing for Scuderia Prague. Running downhill now through turns 16 and 17 before the heavy braking into Ravazza 1 and 2. And here is the Sam Smith, Fabian Volvend and Adam Carroll battle for P3 in Trofeo Pirelli honours. Can Sam Smith hold on to this podium place? Nicolo Skiro, 4.1 seconds ahead of Björn Grossman. And they are both ahead of Sam Smith. Does Fabian Volvend get superior traction out of that turn? Sam makes the car as wide as possible to try and prevent the lady racer from coming through, and Adam Carroll is pushing both of them as hard as he can. Sam is not well known for making errors, and therefore Fabienne is having a heck of a job here trying to provoke a mistake from Sam Smith. They rumble across the curbs, and Adam Carroll takes a look at the inside of Fabian Volvend as they go very nearly 3 abreast. I think there was contact between Adam Carroll and Fabian Volvend, but they both continue. These 488 Challenge cars are pretty robust. And in some racing categories, you would see just the tiniest amount of body damage, it would be the end of somebody's race. But these cars are thoroughbred racing machines, and Adam Carroll then, who's lost one of his aero flicks off the front, I think, and that may make the car just understeer a little bit. And for the moment, Fabian Volvend, as she encroaches, gets closer still, reels in that car of Sam Smith. Sam under braking. We've probably got the remainder of this lap plus one more before this Trofeo Pirelli race is done. And Sam is pretty much going to have to fight to hold on to this for the rest of the race, I'm sure. Just 3/10 between the two of them here. Oh, that was a slight error from Sam Smith on entry to that turn. Thankfully, I think he managed to save it, but Fabian Volvend is tracking him. He makes the car sit nicely in the middle of the circuit to protect every line possible and deny Fabienne the chance to go around. Whilst we've been watching this, Jan Dennis has got ahead of Martin Nelson to take the lead in Trofeo Pirelli Am. But this fight has been going on for the last, I don't know how many laps. And its level of intensity has not been dimmed. As once again Adam Carroll comes into it now. We're about to start the last lap of this race as Nicolo Schiro and Björn Grossman cross the timing line. And that's where these cars are headed right now to start their final lap. So it's now or never for Fabienne Volvend and also for Adam Carroll in terms of bouncing a podium position out of this. They almost hug the wall as they head towards the Variante Tamburello. So Fabienne going to try and get underneath Sam Smith. However, Sam, with lots of racing experience, knows where to place that 488. Fabienne again is so close, and Adam Carroll is close as well. It's been a fraught fight between these three. Sam again under braking. Adam Carroll almost power slides the car through the turn as they all run up the hill. Here is the race leader, Nicolo Schiro, some 5 seconds ahead of Björn Grossman. And as he heads towards the checkered flag, it's going to be his 3rd win of the season if everything stays this way. And ironically, he's going to catch up with Louis Pret, who of course is a back-marking car, but is back out in the race. So just this corner to do for Nicolo Schiro to secure his 3rd win of the season. He heads towards the checkered flag, which is unfurled ahead of him, and he takes the win. Nicolo Schiro from Björn Grossman, who will be P2. P3, who's it gonna be? Well, Adam Carroll has put himself ahead of Fabian Volvend. Can Sam Smith hold on to this for P3? It's a drag race to the checkered flag. Sam Smith has done enough to take P3 ahead of Adam Carroll, who takes P4, and the very unlucky Fabian Volvend, who takes P5. Nelson in that P2 position. Has got Emanuele Maria Tabacchi here. Jan Dennis is going to take the win for the AMS. Is Martin Nelson going to hold on to P2? He does, just ahead of Emanuele Maria Tabacchi. Wow, what a Trofeo Pirelli race that was. So Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli Racing, delivering exactly the type of racing we love in this extraordinary one-make series. And this is how Adam Carroll then got on the inside of Fabian Volvend. And in this position, he was always going to have the right line for the turn. He just stalked and then executed perfectly that move. But there is our race winner in Trofeo Pirelli Pro, Nicolo Schiro. What a good job. Credit to all the Trofeo Pirelli racers. They have delivered a fantastic race for us. That's Jan Dennis's second win of the season. He took a win in Valencia in race 1. So the cars making their way into the pit lane, and Parc Fermé, of course, Nicolo Schiro, the first of those to arrive. And jumps out of the car, does Björn Grossman. Try as he might right at the start of the race, although he made up a number of positions when you consider he started from P5 on the grid. Here's a confirmation then of the way it looked at the end of the race. The top 3 in each category: Nicolo Schiro, Björn Grossman, Sam Smith for the Trofeo Pirelli Pro drivers, Jan Dennis, Martin Nelson, Emanuele Maria Tabacchi for the AMS.
Super. Vybojoval jsi to úplně výborně.
So Parc Fermé becomes busy. And there is Jan Dennis. He looks worse for wear, doesn't he? It's been something of a hard race. So looking forward at the podium to speak to the likes of Nicolo Schiro and Jan Dennis, and potentially Martin Nelson as well. So as the drivers prepare to head up to the podium, let's take a look at the highlights of the Trofeo Pirelli race then. And at the get-go, Björn Grossman meant business. Now, was he advantaged by his teammate Fabian Volvend here, who left a nice 488 size gap there for Björn Grossman to come through? And I think he might be buying her a Prosecco at the end of the day's proceedings. Nicolo Schiro, therefore, leading the race. Björn Grossman had put himself ahead of the car of Thomas Neubauer. Christian Obergaard spent ages in the lead of the Trofeo Pirelli AM race. Thomas O'Rourke doing a good job of holding up his pursuers behind him. Nicolo Schiro, though, whatever Björn could throw at him, it was not going to be enough. Martin Nelson was determined to get past Christian Obergaard, and he was nearly given the opportunity to do so by Christian Obergaard running wide. Once he had got past, he was up the road, and next to try and have a go was Jan Dennis, who perhaps wasn't quite so fair in that particular fight, but yielded. But in the end, it was Nicolo Schiro that would take the win and secure that P1 in Trofeo Pirelli Pro, and Jan Dennis would win for Trofeo Pirelli Am. Octane 126, very happy with Björn Grossman's performance in the race. Confirmation of the classification then, Schiro from Grossman, from Smith. Then it was Carroll and Volvend and Louis Pret and Thomas Neubauer. In terms of Trofeo Pirelli Pro. Of course, you can always check the classification on the races.ferrari.com site. All the information with regards to the Ferrari Challenge available to you there. We are going to be heading up to the podium for the two-time celebrations, because both Trofeo Pirelli Pro and Am podiums to come. Super slow-mos of the top three then in Trofeo Pirelli Pro. Sam Smith, P3. P2, Björn Grossman. And P1, Nicolo Schiro. And here comes the podium. Sam Smith, the first out on to the Trofeo Pirelli Pro podium. There's Björn Grossman. And Nicolo Schiro then to the top step of the podium, congratulated by a fellow podium setters as well. And Rosso Corsa represented as the teams. So as the baseball caps are placed on, there's Fabian Volvend looking on. Francesco Bianchi here, the head of Ferrari Europe and Africa, making the trophy presentation. First of all to Sam Smith for P3. Then it will be to Björn Grossman for P2. And very volumatic then, the applause for Nicolo Schiro, who receives his podium. And Rosso Corsa, of course, receiving team award. And the Pirelli trophy presented as well. So they will be invited by Michele Mambrelli, who is our podium presenter, to hold their trophies together. Smile, smile, smile. There's a song in there. For the media photographs to be taken. And here comes the champagne. And in the Drivers' Championship, it's Louis Pret from Nicolo Schiro now, P2 in the Drivers' Championship ahead of Sam Smith and Björn Grossman and Adam Carroll. So still a lot of points up for grabs, and the gap between P2 and P1 is pretty narrow, as you can see. Be interesting to have a conversation with Louis Pret and ascertain what the issue was. But yeah, it's cost him some valuable points, that's for sure. So super slow-mo then of the champagne being sprayed across the podium. In terms of Trofeo Pirelli Am, then Jan Dennis, who took the win in the Trofeo Pirelli Am classification ahead of Martin Nelson and Emanuele Maria Tabacchi. There we can see the cars in Parc Fermé. Emanuele Maria Tabacchi is on the podium. So too is Martin Nelson now. And Jan Dennis. Scuderia Prague will be represented on the podium. And here comes the national anthem. So the baseball caps are placed back on, and it's time for trophy presentations to happen. Once again, Francesco Bianchi then on trophy presentation award honors, the head of Ferrari Europe and Africa, makes the trophy presentation to Emanuele Maria Tabacchi. Now to Martin Nelson. And to Jan Dennis. And of course, Scuderia Prague collect their trophy also. And Jan Dennis receives the Pirelli trophy. A double bubble in terms of trophy awards then if you're P1 in Trofeo Pirelli. Everyone gets together for the photographs.
Lift your trophy, guys. Lift your trophy, okay? Okay. Smile, and now the show is not over.
So time for the champagne. Martin Nelson's going to be the quickest. There you go. And takes a good old slug of it. And there we have it, done and dusted. Another race to come from Trofeo Pirelli tomorrow in the Drivers' Championship for Trofeo Pirelli Am. Emanuele Maria Tabacchi on 159 points ahead of Jack Brown and Martin Nelson. From all of us here, thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.